You know those moments when your heart is racing, the pressure is high, and what you say next really matters? Well, that's everyday life for Adrianna Muñoz. She's an ER nurse, a runner, and someone who lives at the intersection of high stakes and deep humanity. In this conversation, we talk about what it really takes to navigate tough conversations, especially when emotions are high and the outcome matters. How endurance sports shaped the way she thinks about resilience, discipline, and showing up when it's hard. And why vulnerability, real, honest, human vulnerability, might be the most powerful leadership skill we have. This one isn't about pushing through at all costs. It's about finding strength in the struggle and connection through it. Let's wake up your courage. What a good day it is today. I get to be here with Adrianna Muñoz, who I have been planning to be on the podcast for several weeks now. And I'm so excited that we are finally here. Adrianna and I met just about, it's going to be like four months ago. And we're getting some really good one-on-one time in this podcast because I've already learned so much from you, Adrianna, just being around you and in being in the group that you and I are in together. And so it's just such a treat to have you here today. So without further ado, could you please introduce yourself, what you do, and also what kind of athleticism fills up your life?
Thank you, Kassy. It's really a delight to be here, and I've enjoyed our conversation leading up to this moment. So thank you for your most precious resource, your time. My name is Adrianna Muñoz, or Adrianna, works perfectly fine. A little bit about me, so a little condensed Cliff Notes version. I am a nurse. I've been a nurse for 12 years. I still practice ER nursing, pick up a few shifts a month. And I stumbled my way into speaking, workshop facilitation, and providing continuing education contact hours to nurses, medical health professionals, healthcare professionals. And my specific niche in the world is talking about interpersonal conflict within teams. A tough topic, but I learned that knowing how to navigate those really tough conversations, especially like nurse to doctor in a leadership role in healthcare, it's very important because it impacts people's mental health and their willingness to speak up about each other. So I facilitated conversations for the past few years for a lot of different organizations, and healthcare is my bread and butter and my passion project. My type of athleticism, endurance sports for sure. I have a cross country background, track and field. I ran the 2-mile. I've never been the fastest, but I was out there.
Yeah.
And I really lately have been leaning more into like longer workouts, lots of rowing, biking, long hikes with like a ruck pack. And I'll be training for a longer race in November. So that'll be cool. But anything endurance. And then I started adding in weight training a few years ago because I was so bad at it. So now I'm less frustrated, still progressing, but it's getting better. So mainly endurance and with a little bit of weightlifting tossed in for some funsies.
I can so relate to that. I'm so bad at it. Like how many times when you're trying to hold the weight properly or, just move it properly, your body, like what is it with the reverse lunges? Why are those so awkward for me? Like, what's wrong? Am I going low enough on that back knee? Like this is what goes through my brain as I'm trying to do those things. It's funny. And then also like another thing that comes up for me with the weights is my hips. I'm like, but wait, I'm knocking my hip right now. And I don't even have like excessive hips or anything, but just like, I'm like, can I hold this a different way so we're not knocking my hips when I do this? But I digress. It's so clear to me that you are a caregiver, a nurse. Even before I knew the details of that when we first met, I could just sense from you that you take care of people. You have such a calming, like grounded presence. And you must just be an absolutely fantastic nurse. And you're an ER nurse at that, right?
ER, yes.
Man, I mean, you just exude like, I got this. It's cool. Even as you sit here today, you're doing that. And it must just really serve you so well on the ER floor and probably on the stage as well. I'm sure. I haven't seen that, but That's so cool.
Thank you. It's
Yeah.
definitely a learned skill. Was like a chicken cut with its head cut off. Like when I first started nursing, I was always thinking, "Oh my gosh, I don't want to." So anxious, and just learning how to control those nerves, especially because my first job out of nursing school was working in a very high acuity neonatal ICU. So I was working with premature babies and sick babies, and there's no room for error. And of course, took that job very seriously. And then I went after 2 years about down to the ER in inner city Chicago. And luckily, I had fantastic mentors, and I was surrounded by the coolest people, and I was like, "Oh, these people are keeping their cool. Like, this is really nice." So, it was a lot of mimicking, and so it's definitely a learned skill, and I do think it's helped me on stage, and it's so funny you say that because now I've gotten feedback from a lot of people. It's just so interesting, and I'd love to hear your perspective on this or if you've gotten this where you become so proficient in something, people are like, "I can't relate to that."
Mm,
And I think I have to remember to verbalize my thought process where it's like, I do feel nervous right now. Like I feel my heart rate beating. Like I'm testing the limits right now of like my deodorant. Like I'm pushing that limit. But it's like that keep your composure because letting things escalate doesn't help anybody.
right.
So I think that lesson has certainly helped me in the ER and whenever I'm working out on longer things when I want to just stop, but
Yeah.
then also on stage. It's a skill that definitely translates nicely.
Yeah. You're bringing up so much for me. I'd completely forgotten about this, but when I was young, I was a FedEx courier, and uh, and I was a foot courier specifically in downtown San Francisco. And what that meant was that I delivered letters and packs, and I'd have like 60 stops in the 2 hour window. Whereas the average driver, depending on the route, could have anywhere from like 15 to 30 stops in a 2 hour window. And so when you're working a high rise, you're just going floor to floor. And I had to learn breath control because I was working downtown San Francisco financial district, delivering letters and packs to businesses at the front desk. I wasn't going into the back warehouse stuff. And so I couldn't like fall through the doors out of breath, and ask them to sign. I had to like be like, here's your letter and have them sign and then like catch the breath and learn to be very much in control physically if I wanted to be taken seriously, and to get it done on time as well. And I think that plays out in my life as a trainer too. Moving on to becoming a virtual trainer, especially because there's a lot of tech issues. And it's like, I just taught this even yesterday. I'm like, if you sound like you are freaking out, they will freak out right along with you. And then you've lost complete control. And so at least my line is never let them hear you sweat when you're online. But this can on the stage play against me in the way that you just said, because people think I've always got it under control. And it isn't. It's just that I'm like externally displaying that and maybe like internally trying to make that happen. And I also think it plays out in that I'm not like the biggest presence on the stage. I'm not running all over the place because it would seem to me that maybe I've learned to have a level of control. So a lot of my own speaker coaching comes from let loose, you can be bigger, go stronger. And I'm like, okay, I'll try. So that's where it plays out for me. And you're reminding me of all of that. So interesting.
That's a great point, and so maybe the takeaway for me and, like, is to, like, push the comfort zone a little bit on
Yeah.
stage, in a way that still feels authentic, of course, because I don't want people to be like, "Oh, that gal's scripted. She practiced that weird body language move where she was, like, running across the stage," but if it feels authentic and it, is in alignment with a certain feeling, that could be a really good thing for the audience to see
Hmm.
it, because if you freak out, the audience freaks out along with you, but if you get excited, the audience gets
That's
excited
right.
too, so it translates to different big emotions, and as a speaker, I want people to feel those emotions along with me. I want them to
Mhm.
go on a journey because that's how they're gonna remember the takeaways, and I talk about conflict, so I
Right.
want them to feel discomfort, but then also feel what a win could be like when you assert kindly for yourself and for your team and for patients.
Yeah. 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 It's like I'm wanting to like it's not exactly no, who am I kidding? It's totally uncomfortable to lean into vulnerability. But I know as a recipient of people who share their vulnerabilities that I love it. And being on the other side of it, of sharing your vulnerabilities, is frightening to me. I do still do it, but it does very much impact me. And I think that what I end up doing is leaning into physical control to manage that fear. In my mind, I'm like, I can't believe I just said that out loud. But if I breathe, I'm okay. I kind of go smaller to control it. And it's this thing. I mean, I think, are we in therapy right now? I'm working through my stuff with Adriana.
Working right there with you, Kassy.
The nurse is on the podcast. And so, okay, let me tell you everything that's wrong with me. How many people do that to you like every day?
Not frequently, but I was on a flight recently, and they're like, "Are any medical professionals aboard?" And they called
Oh.
3 times because I wanted to, like, not insert myself into situation, and I finally responded and I helped, and, I think the only thing I provided was calm. That was it, because everyone was like, "What do we do?" I'm like, "There's nothing we can do." Like, the person was totally fine, but it was just like, "Hey, let's all breathe. Do you have any apple juice? Great." Like, it was just it was just like, "It's okay."
If the nurse says to do it, it's different. It's like, I have a spot on my hand, like that's so funny. But you talked about endurance sports were your choice. What do you think drew you to endurance sports versus what would there be like? What are the other things that exist besides endurance? Would be strength or agility, maybe. But why endurance sports for you? Like running is so. I used to have this joke when I was younger. Now I'm on the tread all the time, so this isn't true anymore. But it used to be. You'll catch me running for two reasons only. One, zombies behind me. Two, a really great sail in front of me. But it's not like that anymore. These things aren't true anymore. I actually really love the gym. So, yeah, why endurance sports for you? How did you end up as a runner?
Looking back now, I think it's because there's such a low barrier to entry. You just need a pair of shoes.
Yeah. Wow.
And when I started running, so I'll share when I was younger, in like 8th grade and freshman year, I had prediabetes. It's very unhealthy. And my dad, he worked as an industrial designer and he got a treadmill that he had designed from a fitness company. And we had it. And I thought I could run a mile a night in the treadmill. And I started running, and then my mom and I both started running together. We had this cadence where we would, have this shared thing, and the local YMCA that we went to had a 5K, and I ran the 5K very badly. Like, I was so slow, but I was like, "I did it. Like, heck
Yeah.
yeah." Like, I crossed the finish line, and the captain of the high school cross country team was there, and she said, "You should join cross country." And I was like, "Oh my god." Like, the captain told me I should do it, and so I joined next year. And I found a lot of camaraderie while doing it, and then I just thought it was kind of this fun little time away from me because my household, I love it. Growing up, it was just really loud, lots of life, and I realized that I have very, introverted I don't know, there's this new term called ambivert where you're
Yes, I read
extroverted.
about that. Yeah.
Yes, I think that's me, where I love being around people, like, I love being in the ER, but I love having time to recharge, and I think running was that for me, and
Okay.
it was free. I just go out for a run, and then when I was in college, I would, do my studying, go out running, unplug, and then I ran a marathon while I was studying for my nurse licensure exam in Chicago. So I
Mm.
did 2 things for, like, 3 months. I would run in the morning for the marathon and then study, and then I'd run the next day to, like, manage my anxiety. So, I think endurance, just the low barrier to entry specifically for running, but then also it just helps my personality type.
Mhm.
I didn't know at the time, but now I actually have words to put to what I was doing.
Yeah. I was drawn to that too. I wonder if well, I mean, frankly, anything that's like black or white or any kind of other dichotomy, it's questionable to begin with. But, we all have tendencies. And so I think a lot of people are going to resonate with the ambivert for that reason. Because there's moments. I know in my training, I often will have different kinds of questions like to get conversation going and to demonstrate how we can do that. And I try to keep them relatively, well, I was going to say light, but not light. I keep them so that anyone in any industry and in any role would be able to respond.
Mhm.
One I have is I have like 9 pictures on the screen, and I'm like, which of these 9 images best represents you today? And the addition of the word today is what's important because maybe today you're feeling really extroverted and then tomorrow you're feeling really introverted. What is it in this moment and in this very place that you're drawn to? I think things change so much. And I think the ambivert, I love that, the idea of the ambivert. And then are we all that? I don't know. Although you and I, we circle in the NSA crowd, I think I would be shocked to find out that there are ambiverts. They're all extroverts. Most all of them, not all, but a huge percentage of them, extroverted even while they're sleeping, it would seem. You're not only did cross country, but you described some other types of endurance sports that you do as well. And I'm curious what those other ones are. And then also, if any of those practices show up in your speaking business or any of your speaking practices.
Yes. When we were speaking, I remember mentioning I did CrossFit for several years, and that was fun. I started doing that a year before my wedding, and I really enjoyed it. It was something that my husband and I could share together because he used to work at a CrossFit gym. That's when we met in Chicago. And so he's always been very much into fitness and weightlifting. And I had this, I wouldn't say like I was against it, but then anyone tells me I should do something, I'm like, no, I'm not going to. I double down like a toddler. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. And so I had to come across this Facebook ad that's like, come to this gym, join us. I went to a strange gym, people I didn't know instead of listening to my husband. Long story short, should have listened to him from the start because I really enjoy it.
Listen, this tracks. This is what wives do.
Yeah. So when you see this, Kyle, love you. I should have listened to you from the start. It I really, really enjoy weightlifting now, and I like Olympic weightlifting and with barbells. And with Olympic weightlifting, cleaning, snatching, anything like that, it's just learning how to manipulate your body so you don't hurt yourself, but also how the bar gets off the ground. And so it requires a very large amount of technical expertise before you could even start building on strength because you have to position your hands, your hips, your feet a certain way. Your head has to be angled a certain way. And moving into speaking, I did not even think about charging anybody until I had a year of Toastmasters under my belt because I wanted to have the technical expertise so people weren't distracted by all the so, looking around, twirling my hair, distracting body language so I could deliver my message effectively. And I think being intentional with one part of my life and the athleticism carried over into speaking because it required consistent discipline. Like I found that I could get as frustrated as I want with certain movements, but unless I practice it, they're not going to get better. And same thing with speaking. It requires a lot of technical mastery until you could start putting your own spin and showing up authentically on
Mm,
stage. So there's a big parallel there. You just have to put in the work. Otherwise, it's not going to get any better.
preach. Amen to this. Do you think that people don't often recognize this parallel? And yeah, let me just leave it at that. And if you need further context, I can add. But do you think that's true?
I haven't found that to be true. And I'll say when I'm speaking with people and let's say someone enjoyed a presentation and they're like, or I'm working with other speakers and I appreciate when people come to NSA and they just are, you could tell that they've mastered their craft.
Yeah.
And I found that the conversations at NSA and the conversations at Toastmaster, they appreciate the level of mastery it takes to get somewhere.
Yeah.
I think that if I'm speaking with people, so for instance, I spoke at a nursing conference and a lot of other people who did breakout sessions came to mind. And I got I wasn't expecting this, a lot of compliments on my stage presence because I open up every keynote with like a very vulnerable story where it's like, I did not used to be good at navigating conflict, demonstrate the vulnerability. And I think it resonates with people, but I found that they recognize how much skill goes into it because they have some idea of the preparation it takes to even get up on that stage.
To do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't found it, but I don't want to let my experience
Yeah.
speak
Yeah.
for other people's. Yeah.
I guess as soon as you said that, I goes, oh, it depends on who you've been around and what it is. And I happen to work with a lot of people who need to learn to present, and they don't come from a speaking background. They come from a subject matter expert background. And so it's very content focused, which is excellent and we need, but there isn't necessarily the awareness around, oh, I need to worry about where I stand on the stage. I need to be concerned about the way that I said that. And so I find that a lot of people don't necessarily make the parallel that you did with, like, I think it's fairly obvious that an Olympic weightlifter has gone through some stuff before they can do that and then we had to build up some things. Whereas I do not think that the average person thinks about the person who's speaking up there having done similar types of reps, that they would just say that, oh, they're really good at that and they had great stories and I needed that content. And that's why it was good. I think that happens, but maybe not.
Yeah. I think so. It's funny you say this. One thing I'm going to start highlighting even more is because I teach people how to navigate interpersonal conflict and professional conflict. And a lot of times I work with women in STEM fields. So women physician assistants, nurses who just work with a lot of understandably big, confident personalities, and they need to know how to de-escalate tension within the team.
Mhm.
They'll hear me talk about these skills, and I want to make sure that they know that these skills are for them. And it's reiterating that it's taken me 10 years, thousands of difficult conversations,
Mm.
more failures than wins, and a master's degree with a focus in leadership, change management projects. So it's like I iterate to people that like this isn't a skill I developed overnight. I'm just trying to shorten your learning curve.
Yeah.
And so if you feel like you're bad at this, that's human.
Yeah.
And the same thing goes with weight training, because I remember one of my first coaches being like, "You're gonna suck a lot."
Yes, coach.
Suck
Yes, coach.
so bad. I was so bad, Cassie. So
Same, same. I can't wait, coach. Yeah, I can't
yeah,
wait to suck, coach.
yeah, yeah. So I think it depends on the crowd, and then also making it very clear to people, teaching new skills that it's like, it's okay to be bad. Like, I expect it. The cool thing is that you're in there trying.
Yeah, that comes from that I think like an athletic mind, that you've had success with those reps and then to be able to apply that to the conflict. I can't help but think, I feel like I'm not great at conflict management sometimes. I'm thinking about various times throughout my career. I've had to go to like crucial conversations training so I could have a specific meeting, with a high conflict situation. But I wonder if there's anything that you could share with us today that's sort of like your favorite thing to help people that are navigating this space. It's extraordinarily interesting to me, and I'm certain to those that are listening today as well.
Yes, let me think. I think, so around conflict, there's this whole component of psychological safety that exists outside of that individual conversation. And I could speak to it from very specifically, like a very macro lens, but then narrow in on like why it matters for nursing. But for human beings, we all experience it differently. Oh, like our levels of safety in conversations, we experience safety differently when we try new skills as athletes, when we're up there on stage. And it's defined as this ability to take interpersonal risks, reasonable risks. And so in conflict, if we're speaking to our boss, that feels risky. If we're talking to a coworker or a partner about something, we can think, oh gosh, is this going to damage the relationship? And then we don't speak up at all. And so it's this taking risk perception. And I think recognizing that there's this huge human component in conflict because we are pack animals oftentimes where we don't want to turn people against us. And I think people say I'm really bad at conflict and they make these big black and white observations about it. And that's normal. What is cool about being human is you can have this consciousness around it and figure out what you want the outcome to be, and we can bridge the gap from there. But it's not making these big generalized statements where you're making these certainties about who you are as a person. Because if you would have asked me 10 years ago, I would have been like, "Oh, I'm terrible at conflict." But now I go, "Oh, I have this, like, weird new fondness for hearing other people's emotions and then moving past that." So there's this huge component of helping people feel safe in conflict and safe
Mhm.
enough to fail. And I think that's the really cool thing about doing these trainings because you're giving people the shared language and mentality to enter these really uncomfortable spaces.
Yeah, I don't know how to navigate it sometimes. And so my idea is that I just kinda lay low instead because maybe I'm conflict averse? What do you think about that phrase? I've heard people say that a lot, and I even myself said it as I just did. I'm conflict averse.
What do I think about that phrase?
Yeah,
I think most people are conflict averse.
yeah.
I think most people don't enjoy those spaces. I still don't enjoy conflict. I don't think I ever will. And I don't think I ever want to because that means I don't care. Like, I'd
Mhm.
rather care more about the human on the other side of the table and maybe
Yeah.
setting appropriate boundaries and care about showing in a way that honors myself and other people that
Yeah.
need to be in the conversation.
Yeah.
That's my preliminary take on it, that it's very human, and that's okay.
And that's okay.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing, like, I love leaning into what I would love it to be like and what I would like for you to know. Like I once had a writing coach who said to me, "What do you really wanna say about this?" And I love that sentence for a million reasons. It probably comes up in my life every day. "What do you really wanna say about this?" And I think, what do I really want it to be like? What do and like on the other side of it is I just want you to understand this, or I'd really like to understand you, and those things bring a lot of like comfort to me to think from that angle. And I think in some ways helps me get out of like the worry or the digging in on it too. Because wouldn't it be better if we just understood, isn't everybody moving through the world just doing their best? Aren't they?
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, like they love their families, they love good food, they love to be well rested and healthy, you know? So, looking at it from that angle, it's kind of epic and big and maybe rose-colored glasses a bit, but it's also just true, right?
I think so, and one thing I appreciate about my nursing background and my athletic background specific with conflict is leaning into the discomfort doesn't mean it's unsafe. It just means growth a lot of times. So it's running that extra mile, putting an extra plate on the bar. It's saying, okay, this is actually good for me. It doesn't mean that it's not comfortable. Like often it's very uncomfortable to do those things,
Yeah.
but it's recognizing that the conflict avoidance is usually trying to stay in a comfort zone when sometimes
Yeah.
a little bit of discomfort can create more comfort down the line or more
Yeah.
psychological safety within a team.
Yeah. That's the key right there. It's the key right there, and I think that we do learn that in the different ways that sports are in our lives because of how proud I have felt when I did do the really hard thing that I thought I couldn't do. And then what follows that sense of like, I can't wait to share this and I can't wait to show others and I will help the next person get to that place too, like I love all the things that follow. We
Mhm.
just step into that uncertainty as you mentioned.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. It's a good dopamine kick when you're like, "Wow, I did that. That's pretty cool."
Yeah, it's so big. It's hard for people though, because there's a lot of examples of when you did do it and it didn't work. And I think that's where the real resilience has to come in, where it's like, well, that's the reps, that's the consistency, and that's the belief and the recognition that eventually it will. It may not happen right away, but
Mhm.
eventually it does. And you get better at it even as you're doing it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And do you mind if I make a comment about that?
Yeah, of course. I love that.
I think too, it's psychological safety also comes giving ourselves grace, and there's a component of self-forgiveness that's an antecedent or that precedes the actual feeling of psychological safety. And so if those opportunities are framed as failures, it's gonna be very hard to step into a space where if it's framed as like a learning opportunity. And this is something I still work on all the time. I'm so like, I need to meet this goal by this day, and like there are some things you just can't put metrics to. It's just part of the human experience instead of saying like, wow, that was really bad. You could say, okay, what did I learn from this? So
Yeah.
it's debriefing with yourself sometimes
Yeah.
afterwards and be like, I did this really well. Awesome. I didn't do that last time. And then this is an opportunity for next time. And then that's how you develop like these micro skills that stack on top of each other.
Yeah.
And to your point, that it helps build resilience, but then also there's this component of self forgiveness too.
Yeah, like to not call it a failure, to say it's maybe just a not yet, but you have done many things around that are still building. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
That's a really solid point. One of the places that specifically has played out for me is, in the gym, not being a runner, not being a treadmill gal. Um, I feel really good about when we are in certain plans and they're like, "We're gonna go for, like, today." Today was, um 90 seconds at a thing and then another 90. So 90 seconds at an incline, 90 seconds same speed, flat road. And then 30 seconds walk. And then we're going to repeat and we're going to keep on upping the incline each time. what I decided to do, because I was like, oh man, I'm gonna be able to go 16 minutes, 5 rounds of this, it's too much for me. But what I did do is I said, no, wait, you know what I can do is not run as fast as I normally do. So what I'm going to commit to is doing the whole thing, but I'm going to do it slower so that I can finish it. Because I know that that will build strength for me to be able to be faster. And nobody's asking me to be faster. It's only inside of me. But I feel so good that I did the entire block without having to stop and walk. Because I decided to just say, instead of running at this speed, I'm going to bring it down a bit. And that allowed me to endure the rest of it. And I'm proud of it, totally. But I was very slow. I'm a jogger. I'm not even a runner. I'm a jogger, and I'm proud. Like, give me a sticker, proud jogger.
That's fantastic.
Right? That's what you make me think of. That's what that's about, though, right? It's not failure. It's about how you frame what you're doing.
Mm,
Yeah, and this could show up in conflict as well.
mhm.
I think there's so much about what we do at the gym that helps us in our lives every single day.
Yes, yeah, and a funny thing that I think about is if after a really hard workout, I'm like, "Well, this is the worst part of my day, so be it." And it was at the start, so it's only uphill from here.
Right. Sometimes I think about that too. I'm like, it's like the thing that I'm afraid of, the 3-minute speech I need to give on a topic I'm new to is not as hard as what I just did for 16 minutes on an incline. You know what I mean? Think. But anyway. Aw. Adriana, thank you so much for sharing your insight and your wisdom and just your strength and your calm demeanor with us. It's lovely and comforting and wonderful to have had you here today.
Thank you for the fantastic conversation and having me. This was so fun, just getting to know you a little bit more and then also chat about a part of my life that I don't often have the opportunity to talk about and being physically active. So thank you for having me. This was a treat.
Yeah, it's really neat to bring the two together because maybe, yeah, a lot of times we do separate these things. There's maybe a whole nother conversation on why that happens, but it's interesting. I mean, it's all about who we are and how we show up in the world, and I think it's good for us to talk about it and own it and be proud of it as well.
Mhm.
Where can people get in touch with you and learn more about what you are up to next?
Well, first of all, follow Kassy. She's fantastic. Follow her on YouTube. You could find me on YouTube.
Yeah,
LinkedIn is my primary social media of choice, or just drop me an email. Love to just chat. And yeah, I think YouTube and LinkedIn are probably my two biggies right now.
perfect. Well, we will make sure to have those links in the show notes. And we look forward to all of the amazing things that you're going to do. You're an incredible speaker and just a wonderful person. And it's been a delight to have you here today.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
That's your spark. Now go light something up. And hey, if this episode lit you up, share it with a friend, a fellow facilitator, or someone who needs a little more connection in their day. Be sure to follow the Spark Connect so you don't miss what's next. We've got more brilliant voices, bold ideas, and heart-forward conversations coming your way. Until then, stay curious, stay brave, and keep showing up.